What's up, guys? We are back on Pound for Pound. I am the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, a.k.a. Triple C.
And we've got a special guest, of course. A man that truly, really right now is relatively still... The real MMA fans know who this man is. But, you know, UFC fans tend to be a little fickle. They tend to be blinded, you know, with the UFC. But be blinded no more. My man, multiple time national junior national wrestling champion, could have done anything he wanted, but he decided he wanted to get into thumping with his fists. My man, the newest member of the UFC, Aaron Pico.
A Shadow Line production.
What's up, man? How are you?
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's you guys are big time, so I feel honored to be here.
Yeah, man. Obviously we've known about you for a while. We all share the same management, but you've been doing your job. You are one of those guys to where leaving the high school and wrestling ranks, everyone was saying, "Oh wait, is he gonna go to college? Is he gonna go to college? Is he gonna go win a national title in college?" Or is he going to the Olympics? Is he going to the Olympics? What is he going to do? What is he going to do? And all of a sudden, you shock everybody where you said, you know what? I'm going to accept an offer from Bellator, and I'm going to start my mixed martial arts career early, which is a bold move because most people go the route we did. Go to college, wrestle in college, or go to the Olympics, finish up there, and then start your MMA career. But you chose to forego all that. Talk a little bit about that decision to straight out get right into it.
Yeah, it was a crazy time, to be honest with you. I was young and just I had so many options, especially being a wrestler, and the expectation is to finish all 4 years of high school, finish all 4 years of college, and then go into MMA. But I don't know, something told me that the way that MMA is going, that it's going to be very difficult just to do all that and then expect to be a good fighter, you know? So I was like, I want to get started on it early, and I kind of knew that the expectation that was going to be put on me, as you guys can see, coming out the gate was going to be high, and I was going to have to fight some tough guys, and I just wanted to be prepared for it. But like at the end of the day, I always just wanted to be a fighter. Like that's always what I wanted to do. So I was like, might as well start early. And then I signed with Bellator, and they kind of worked with me with wrestling, and then when I was getting ready to fight, I would fight with them. But yeah, it was a crazy, crazy time. So, but now I'm here. I'm finally in the UFC, and a lot of eyeballs on me, and the expectation is high. But I can honestly say, like now, I'm just mentally prepared. And back then, when I was young, it was a world. It was crazy, whirlwind for sure.
Yeah. So do you think a little bit, Aaron? Because I was kind of. I didn't necessarily have a good or a close relationship with you, but I almost felt like, man, Aaron, you're kind of being thrown in, and then your debut too, the guy that you fought him at 55, I believe, was in Madison Square Garden. I'm like, what the? I'm like, fuck, is Aaron that good? And then obviously that happened. Yeah. But I also feel like you went through a dip in the beginning. But then now it's like, now that you're 28, man, like you joined Bellator when you're in your 20?
I'm sorry?
When did you make your MMA debut?
When I was 20.
Yeah, 20 years old. I mean, now we're talking about 8 years later. I mean, looking at your career these last 8 years, because for those who don't know, Aaron Pico, like this dude was a phenom in wrestling. You know, Aaron, were you a 4-time or 3-timer in California?
A state champion?
Yeah.
No, my story is a little bit different. So I was a freshman in high school. I went undefeated, and then after that, I just did online school and started traveling the world wrestling for the U.S. So.
Okay, yeah. So see, that's how much. So Aaron was able to do all that, going to international tournaments, beating some of the best guys in the world as a high school kid. And then not just that, but you were able to make it all the way up to the Olympic trials and to the finals, where you're like literally this close from making the Olympic team in 2016. I remember watching. I was like, obviously I was cheering for you, but I was cheering for you because you want somebody that's that sacrificed so much because I've been there.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
Know, leaving home at a very young age and training at the Olympic Training Center, and I kind of wanted that same thing to you. You didn't. You were just shy of making the Olympic team, and then obviously MMA, the whole thing happened. But looking at the whole landscape now, Aaron, would you still take that same route that you did with MMA and with wrestling? 'Cause I still feel like, and a lot of us felt this way, you still had maybe 2 or 3 Olympic cycles in you, man. Like I truly do believe in 2020, like you're the guy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Do you remember what that score was against Frank Molinaro in the finals? It was 4-4.
Yeah,
That rule set, it just bugs me. So just a quick story because it kind of bugs. I'm over it now, but I was down.
Bring it up for those who people forget, man.
Yeah, I was down 4-0 going into in the final match. It's best out of 3. I beat him the first one. He beat me the second, and then the third one I was down 4-0. And then I came and I tied up the score 4-4. But since he had a bigger move, he won.
He won a criteria.
And I just, to me, that still bugs me. Like, you do all this work, and then it'd be like a basketball game. Like, maybe I'll mess it up, but like it being tied 100 and 100, but whoever had more 3-pointers wins. It's like, no, you should go to overtime. So to this day, it kind of bugs me. But back to your question, I think everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. You can't go back in the past. And as I'm getting older, I try not to go back. But I wouldn't have met the people that are now involved in my life. I met a lot of good people through the ups and downs. And I wouldn't be probably with Ali if I was just, went out the gate and was 10-0 or 14-0. I've met a lot of cool people and experienced a lot of good things. So I wouldn't change it. I feel like I'm a better man because of it.
Okay. Before we go too far, because this is still, you're now new to a new crop of fans. So let's just back up for a little bit and let them know who really you are. You were born where, in California?
Yeah, I was born in a city called Whittier in Southern California. So it's basically between Orange County and downtown LA. So I grew up there.
Right. And then when did you start wrestling?
I started wrestling at 4.
4.
Yeah, 4. Because I have an older brother who's 4 years older than me. But like for me, like I always tell people, like I didn't come from the favelas. I didn't come from like the mean streets or anything like that. To be honest with you, it's so I truly love it.
Tell, bro, you're proper,
streets of Whittier.
No,
That's what you care.
I'm from Whittier. I'm proud of Whittier. I love Whittier, and but no, my mom's an oncology nurse. She's an RN. Right. My dad was in medical sales for a lot of years. So I just grew up like a normal kid, and I had dirt bikes and bicycles and whatever I want to do, so. But I just was attracted to wrestling and boxing, and I just loved the combat aspect. When kids, I remember like after school, kids would go and play, and it's like if I wasn't out going to wrestling practice or I wasn't at the boxing club, I truly felt like I was like something was wrong. So my dad wasn't hard on me as a kid wrestling. If anything, he wanted me to be a dirt bike rider. That's what he really wanted, because my family's big fans of motorcycles, and. So like it was never an expectation for me to be like, you have to be a champion, like if I won a tournament, great. If I lost, my parents still loved me. I never had that pressure on me. So yeah, I can honestly say I love fighting. This is what I've always wanted to do. I mean, some people have different reasons of why, and my why is just because I love it.
Yeah. So, obviously fast forward, you do extremely well in wrestling, and I remember I started hearing, I didn't know about you in high school, but I started hearing when it was time for you to get out of high school. I started hearing the name, never seen you. I was just hearing Aaron Pico. Oh, this kid could go to the Olympics, could stay and do another cycle, but he's going to just go straight into MMA. And this is really when Bellator, RIP Bellator, this is really when Bellator started doing kind of like a developmental program type of thing, where they wanted, and it was really smart, honestly, for growing the sport, but 2, for really growing their brand for the future.
Yeah.
And I do remember that you were one of their guys, one of the marquee guys, where I kept hearing, oh, this kid's coming out of high school. This kid's about to get a deal out of high school right away. And at that point, I'm like, really? What's this kid? Talk about dealing with that pressure, because, you're one of the first few ones that come straight out of high school, get a deal with the promotion, and not just the deal that most of us got. You got a deal. We won't necessarily have to talk about that, but you got a pretty deal to where it was like you could train, you could focus on getting there.
Seven figures.
I felt like there was a lot of pressure on you. How did you feel about that? Did you feel the same, that there was a lot of pressure on you?
Yeah, at the time, I just felt like it was like normal. But yeah, now looking back, I felt a lot of pressure, especially in the MMA world, because like I was so new. Like I was like, I'm getting all this expectation of me, and like I haven't even fought yet. You know, I had amateur stuff in pancreation, but it just felt like, back to your question, yeah, that felt a lot of pressure, and not many people, I think, if they were ever in my position, would be able to handle it, because it was really, really, really hard. And then you're kind of like caught in the middle. Do I continue wrestling or do I go to fighting? You know, like then you feel guilty because you're like, well, maybe I need to wrestle, but I always wanted to fight. But yeah, like I said, Bellator was straight out the gate, and it was. A lot of people don't know this, but since I'm on your podcast, I'll kind of tell you. The UFC had an offer too. I think they had an offer, but I'm not gonna go into like too much detail. But I wasn't aware of it.
Right.
So I signed with Bellator, and I'm thankful for everything that Scott Coker did for me, and Mike Hogan and Rich Chow. All those guys were great, and that's where I learned. But right. When I signed the contract with Bellator, and then they let me know after I signed that the UFC was interested and was willing to work with me. So, and it's taken me 8 years to get here. Right. So that's just kind of like how it all went down, Yeah. So, no. But it is what it is. Like I said, I'm thankful. Like my training ground was Bellator.
Right.
My first fight was Madison Square Garden. I mean, that's crazy to really think about. And yeah, now we're here. So the work is just starting. I've been saying it's like I don't want a participation trophy for the UFC. I want a belt, and right. I'm not stopping. So
right, talk about that. So all this pressure's on you. You haven't even fought yet, and then you step in there. First fight, MSG.
Yeah.
And that happened. What's the psyche like? How are we dealing with this?
Well, I can tell you honestly. After I lost at Madison Square Garden, I literally just was like, I just felt, I didn't know what to feel. But the only thing is I got in my car, and my son's mom, when we were together at the time, I said, I'm going to go, I just need to go buy a horse. So I literally just like, was like, I don't even want to think about fighting right now. I just want to go buy a horse. So I called up a friend and I went to a ranch. First horse I saw, his name was Canelo. And they said, is this horse right here is named Canelo. I said, okay, I'll buy him. And I bought a horse, and I said, this is life. I need to figure out something more than just thinking about fighting and all this pressure. And I've always been into horses, so I bought a horse, and it felt good. So that's after that. So basically, after your questions, like there was so much pressure on me, I said, screw all this shit right now. I'm gonna go buy a horse, and I need something to just escape. And
first and foremost, before you even finish that, hold that thought.
Yeah.
My man bought a horse.
Yeah.
Henry, can you buy a horse? Can you afford a horse?
I have 4 now.
What
so
did you get
I can't afford a horse.
A Persian horse? Oh, those are the most
actually, it's funny. I love horses, so people don't realize like that's what I really do. So now I have 3 Andalusian horses or Spanish horses, and then I have 1 Moroccan barb horse. Yeah. So
you're dang near a cowboy.
What do those roughly go for? If I may ask.
Like a good bloodline, like my Moroccan horse. I don't know if there's a price that I can't put a price on that one. That's
how good he was.
It's a special horse from Morocco, and but yeah, I mean now the horse market's like crazy. I mean you want to buy a good horse, you're looking at $50,000 for sure, 50 starting out. And depending on, there's so many like sports like reining and roping and all kinds. I mean, you'll buy a baby for $100,000. There's some horses that sell for $1 million, you know, 1.5. Yeah, that's crazy.
Sorry we got sidetracked. Back to
hey,
your
I like
answer.
talking about horses. So we
just
can
want
talk
to let
about
you
horses.
know, my man got
Yeah,
4 horses.
You sell 1.5 to really some horses.
Yeah, there's yeah, for sure 1.5.
Oh, yeah.
So I have 4 Ferraris. You know, that's what I always say.
Hey,
I'd probably be able to have some nice cars if I didn't have horses, but horses are the best to me.
Yeah, damn.
So, but
That's passion, dude.
I love it. That's what,
Kamaru
honestly,
recently
I want a
buying
ranch
all
so
the-
bad.
The low rider with the Daytons. You know?
okay, so you deal with that. You get a horse,
Yeah.
which essentially takes you out of being in it, wallowing in all of that expectation and kind of like the pitfalls of that.
For sure.
And then you get back on the horse, which is, let's just talk about how important that is, because it's tougher right now for I guess, I hate to sound old, but people from this generation, they have a hard time dealing with taking an L. They have a hard time dealing with something bad happen. Let me get back up and figure out a way to get it done, because that's the principle, that's the base, especially as a man. That's what you're based on. You know, I'm going to try that and try that and try that. It doesn't work this time. It didn't work that time. I don't have the knowledge yet.
Yeah.
But I do it a few more times, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, it distracted you for a while, but you didn't cower down and just say, you know what, I'm done with the sport. You got back on the horse, strung some wins together. And not just wins, you started the highlight reel, guys. You start putting that together, and then talk about you get the back-to-back loss. How is that roller coaster again?
Yeah, it was really, really crazy. But my story is kind of like, it's kind of crazy. So I did have that back-to-back loss. And then funny thing is, I'm riding my horse, and I get a text message from Ali. And he says, hey, my name's Ali Abdulaziz. Of course I know who Ali is. He's like, but I think I can really help you out in your career. I think you should fly out to Vegas soon. And I was like, oh, damn, it's Ali. Because I've always loved Ali. I've always wanted to be with him. And at the time, I just really didn't have any, when he texted me, I didn't have a manager at the time. So, yeah, I said, well, Ali, I can't come to Vegas this weekend because I'm going to Mexico. I was going to Mexico to actually ride some horses. So I said, when I get back.
Dude, I'm going to go to Albuquerque. I'm gonna.
Oh, trust me.
You
Yeah,
sure you know how to ride a horse?
We'll have a good time.
I have before.
I'd love to see you on a horse, Henry, for sure. My horses are huge too. So, but yeah, I met Ali, and but then I met Greg Jackson and Brandon Gibson, and I relocated to Albuquerque, and had a meeting with them, and I knew they were the right guys for the job, for the coaching. That's what I wanted. I love Greg Jackson and I love Brandon Gibson. And then I met with Ali, and he just said, hey, listen, I think I can really help your career. You know, you were put on the fast track, but if you listen and you do your job, I'll do my job, and I promise you I'll get you to where you need to go. And it's funny, Ali, he even told me, he's like, listen, I just want to see you succeed, you know. I need you to get 3 wins in a row before you start paying me. He's like, I said, okay, no problem. I want to win. He's like, yeah, I'm not worried about.
Secrets out, Ali, huh? You owe me money.
No, for sure. No, but that's what type of, that's what he was like.
That's the type of dude that
yeah, he
is.
He's he's a very, very good manager and a very good human being. So he said, listen, you've been through a lot. I just need you to get 3 wins, and then we can, we'll figure something out. And we did, and it just felt right. I felt really good with Ali, and then I got to work with Brandon Gibson and Greg Jackson, and just started studying on how to be a good fighter. I had all the raw skills. I had the boxing, I had the wrestling, I had some jiu-jitsu, but I needed to blend it all together. And that's when Greg Jackson and Gibson came in. And as you see, I'm starting to do really well. So.
Ali actually had called me too. So, hey man, what's this dude with? He was like, do you know Aaron Pico? I'm like, yeah, kind of a little bit. He's like, man, he's not being managed correctly, or he's too good to be in the position that he's at right now. So he was already making his calls. He was like, what do you think? And I'm like, take care of him, dude. Like, take care of him. You're right. I was like, he was thrown onto the sharks a little too early.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't get back on that horse, that this game is unforgiving because it's not wrestling. Wrestling is there's grappling. You get rolled up and you get tagged. In this game, there's so many knees, elbows, so many different ways of getting finished.
Yeah.
Obviously you had all that. You went through your bumps and bruises. You were a phenom as a high schooler, beating international wrestlers, and then finally, man, you get the call. You guys make the deal with the UFC. But prior to making that deal with the UFC, and you were mentioning earlier how you were going to fight Patricio, and then this guy. So you want to kind of go over a little bit of the mess because you haven't fought in a minute.
Yeah. So after I fought in Saudi Arabia, I had talked to PFL, and they said that you're gonna whatever you want. You're in a position to just fight for the title. I said, yeah, PFL said that they were gonna have a card in California. So I said, I'd love to fight in California, because that's where I'm from. I think I can draw a lot of fans in. I said, okay, against Patricio. So I'm getting prepared. I'm getting ready for that fight. And then I never heard anything. They stacked the card, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, no California, nobody from that side is fighting in there. Like, this is nuts. So whatever, it is what it is. And then they said, well, no, because they want you to fight in Saudi Arabia. They want you to fight Jesus Pinedo. Like you said, tough fight, very tough fight, but I'm going to fight him because it's just what we do. And a couple of weeks before that, I said, no, you're not going to fight Jesus Pinedo. You're going to fight Jeremy Kennedy. I said, oh, perfect. It's a rematch from my shoulder incident. Got ready for that, and then nothing. They said, we want you to fight Patricio Pitbull in Japan on the New Year's Eve card. I'm getting ready for that. I get the call from Ali, pissed. He's like, this is not happening. I don't know what's going on. And then just didn't hear anything. And I was reviewing my contract, and I said, well, the contract's gonna run out. You know what I mean? The time's gonna run out.
So you had an expiration date on the contract.
Expiration date, yeah.
I think that's smart, bro. I don't think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I think when you do, it's the best.
So, but the whole fuss was, I know that there's a match clause in a lot of MMA contracts. That's pretty standard.
Right.
But my contract was for 30 months, 7 fights. I only got 5 fights. So with that being said, I'm kind of just like, well, it's a kind of a breach of contract. Rather than make a fuss about it, just give me my full release. And ultimately, Ali, Don Davis, and we all had a meeting, and it went very, very smooth. Don was very professional, and he heard what I had to say and said that they weren't going to match, and it was pretty easy. So I'm thankful for Don. I'm not shitting on PFL or anything like that. It was very, very smooth, and wish it was done a lot sooner, but it all worked out. So, but back to what you're saying, if I would have fought Patricio Pitbull and won, then I would have been locked in a contract for sure, because as you guys know, there's a champions clause, and you gotta give them X amount of fights. You can't just win the belt and dip,
Now, the whole time you're in Bellator, you're doing your thing, and then obviously the merger's happening. When you're fighting these fights, and then also you got guys like Patricio in the division as well, are you looking outside going, I'm not getting the recognition that I want, that I should be getting for these fights, and I feel that I'm better than guys over across the street,
Yeah, back to what you're saying, like the recognition and stuff like that. Like, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. Like, being famous, is not something I crave.
No, but you want to be told, when you win the title, I'm the champ. But let me know I'm the champ.
But but what I was feeling is watching these 145ers, feeling like I can beat them. People say those are the best fighters in the world. Let me just go prove myself and beat those guys just for me and for being recognized as a champion of the UFC. That's what I want to do. But being recognized from fans and stuff like that, I know that will all come, but it's I'm just such a competitor that I'm you think they're the best? Wait till I get there and I show that there's a whole different level. And I just was I just want that opportunity. And the rest is gonna come, as you guys know, the fame and all that stuff. But just how much work my team and I put into it, it's we want that UFC belt. I want to go in the history books. Like, let's just call it what it is. If you win, Patricio is a legend. Honestly, he's one of the best fighters in the world, but he has so many defenses in Bellator and titles and this and that. But at the end of the day, what does that really mean? Like, honestly, if you don't have that UFC belt, like, what does that mean? Let's just call it what it is.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I never wanted to be that guy, like, have all these belts in other organizations. But when you're walking into the airport, I'll just give you an example. When you're going to the airport and you see a lady and she asks, oh, you're a fighter? Yeah, I'm a fighter. I'm a Bellator champion. I've defended it 20 times. Oh, that's cool. But do you fight in the UFC? Honestly.
You're so right. When I first started, it was just like, hey, you do that UFC stuff?
Yeah.
It's like,
Like,
you
hey,
mean MMA?
like, Kamaru, you still fighting?
You see how you just go and take a shot at me? I didn't even say that to you. Damn. Bro, so you're watching all of that, and of course, you know, as a competitor, as a real competitor, you want the opportunity to stamp, I'm the best in the world. And there's an organization across the street that I know once I go there, that's when I'll get that recognition that I am the best, or that respect that I am the best in the world.
Yeah.
Now, you were looking at that. Now, you were looking at guys, you know, obviously, like, everybody has that one guy where you're just like, you know, Max Holloway, champion. Alexander Volkanovski, champion. Ilia Topuria, champion. How are you feeling during this time of these title changes and these defenses? Where are you thinking, and how is your head at that moment?
Yeah, it was like, man, I can beat these guys. Like, especially Ilia Topuria, and he's going up to 155, and I think him and Islam is going to be I think that's going to be a great fight. But I was like, I can beat them. You know, there's some holes, especially in the wrestling, that a lot of people can't see. You know, they haven't seen wrestling at kind of like how I see it. I have my own thoughts on when I watch fights, but I was like, I can beat these guys. I know there's certain areas, you know, with my hands and my wrestling and grappling, and but like I said, I just want the opportunity to be able to do that, and so now the fun starts, and I have my work cut out for me. Like, let's just, you know, it's all great to have this media and everybody's excited, but at the end of the day, you got to go in there and knock people's heads off, you know. So that's what I'm here to do.
So right now, man, the landscape at 145 pounds. Right now we have Alexander Volkanovski, who is a #1 contender. We're going to find out who is the best in the world. You have Diego Lopez. You have Patricio Pitbull that's now in the mix. Yair Rodriguez. A lot of your weight class is fighting this weekend. Like, there's big rumors of you fighting
Mozart.
Mozart. Eloyev.
I was supposed to fight him.
And something, whatever, because, dude, that can put you in a position where you're potentially beat him.
Yeah.
And stylistically, that's a great-ass matchup for you.
No,
I think you finish him. I think you finish him in one. You go to the body, your hands are freaking lethal, and his grappling just doesn't make sense. It doesn't match up.
In one?
Huh?
In one?
Yeah, I'm on that. I'm on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
He could say that. He could say that for
No,
sure.
I mean, I could say
But
that. Dude,
you
I'm the
in
triple C,
one?
bro.
You see now
I'm the triple
now
C,
if
bro.
Lloyd
I
ain't
can
gonna
say
come on the
that.
show.
No, because
and if he does come on the show, he's gonna want to whoop you for saying that.
And that's okay. I got two hands too.
Yeah, that's triple C, baby.
But Aaron, he's got his takedown defense offensively, but it's his fucking hands, and it's somebody like him doesn't have that, which he doesn't. And I can say that, and I can honestly say that, because you can see that, you can see it.
Yeah.
There's levels of finesse. There's levels of, you know, mixing of the fighting too. So unfortunately, that fight did not take place. I don't know for whatever reason. But how do you see, because I think you're maybe a couple fights away from fighting for the belt.
Yeah.
Maybe even one.
For sure.
Or Juan.
No, it's a good question. Like I said, Ali called me, and he was taking a nap with my son, and my phone kept ringing, and he said, you're going to fight Mopsar. Can you fight Mopsar? Not Mopsar, actually. He said, can you fight May 17th? I said, absolutely, Ali. I just want to fight. And then at the end, I was like, well, by the way, who am I fighting? And he said, Mopsar. And I said, wow, that is a really good fight for me, you know, because he's a wrestler and he puts, you know, a lot of his eggs in one basket with the wrestling. And the striking is improving. He's got some tricky flying knees and stuff like that. But the reason why, like, I'm not like, you know, Dagestan has incredible wrestlers, like, I mean, the highest level. But what a lot of fans and people don't know about me, because they just don't know, is I spent a lot of time in Dagestan. Wrestling from like 16 to like 19. I was in Makhachkala.
2-3 years to forget,
yeah,
huh?
Exactly. It was in Makhachkala, Khasavyurt, Ossetia, which is still in the Kafkaz Mountains. And then I didn't do much time in Chechnya. Yeah, it's Christian. And then Chechnya, I would just go there to, there was a couple of wrestling tournaments there. But yeah, I wrestled a lot there. So I got to see the highest level. I mean, Islam and Khabib are great wrestlers. Like, they really are, like, you know, MMA wrestling. But where they come from, where people don't realize where they come from, they're not at the highest level at all. Yeah, I'm talking like the Abdul Rashids, the Gadisovs, the best wrestlers. Like, they're not even in the top 30.
Yeah,
and top 50. Like, where they come from in Dagestan and in the Kafkaz Mountains with wrestling, I mean, it's the highest level. I'm talking 3-time Olympic champions, you know. And then I was with the Russian national team camp in Sochi for a month and wrestling with them. And it's the top 3 guys from the Russian national, you know, top 10 guys, you know.
This is the top 3 guys in the world, man.
So it's crazy. So basically what I'm saying is, like, I've seen Dagestan and wrestling, and I know MMA is different, but I'm a really good wrestler too. So let's fight, you know.
Yeah, I mean, of course, man. I think stylistically, like, with your power, I started fighting at 26. Kamaru probably started fighting
27.
27.
Or 20. You're older than me, right?
I'm 38.
Yeah, so you're a couple months older than me. So yeah, around.
Henry, you've been to Dagestan though too?
Yeah.
Because I remember us having that conversation at the Olympic Training Center where you were just, you know, gaslighting everybody, trying to figure out what you're gonna do, and
lots of shit money.
Yeah, I started flirting with MMA already because I got an opportunity. Shout out to Ryan Parsons at the time and Jason Mayhem Miller for giving me the opportunity to be a coach. I was the coach on season 14 of The Ultimate Fighter, and started training a little bit with the guys, and that's when I was still wrestling because I was living at the OTC at that time. So I started training, doing the show. 6 weeks there, I didn't realize it, but I had caught the bug. So when I went back to the OTC and we're doing practice, and they bring it all in and they're showing the move, I'm in the back, you know, while everyone's taking a knee, watching the move. I'm standing there, I'm shadow boxing to the point I knew the coaches, I knew Brandon and these guys were sick of it because they would go, hey, this is not MMA, this is not, because at that point it was kind of, wrestling was still kind of having that disdain for MMA because we're losing our best wrestlers to MMA. And yeah, of course Henry is like, yeah, I don't know, I think I might, well, I don't know, you know, I'm gonna wrestle, I'm here wrestling, just eat that. Now I know why you were doing it. But yeah, then later you know, all of a sudden you're in there fighting their legacy, and you know, same with me. I came along.
Crazy.
But it's the parallel for, obviously, like you said earlier, there's a stat is what is it, 85% of former champions come from a wrestling background. But then
bro, think about that.
Yeah, but then there's hybrids like you guys. Like you guys boxed before getting into MMA. I didn't. And you boxed before.
That's what I really wanted to do, is be a boxer. Yeah, I was really good in boxing, to be honest with you. That was like, I loved it. You know, I had like 28 fights, and I fought a lot of high-level guys that are now doing, you know, good things. You know, I sparred a lot with Ryan Garcia. We sparred a lot. Really? And, yeah, I mean, that was my passion, was boxing. And but I was getting ready, you know, my dad wanted me to wrestle in high school, so he's like, oh, you should put it down for a little bit and then get ready for wrestling, and I put that on hold. But I learned the movements from a very young age. When I say I was obsessed with boxing, like, that's all I wanted. I just wanted a WBC belt so bad. That's all I thought about. I watched. I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Right, the green and gold.
The green one, yeah, the WBC belt. That's all I really wanted. And but but life has a funny way of working out, but yeah.
But let me go back to the landscape. I mean, if Aaron Pico had a chance to really pick some, because you're gonna get a top 10er, you deserve a top 10er, even a top 5, which Eloy was in there. If you had a pinpoint, what guys do you want prior to fighting for the title? I mean, who would it be? This is huge, bro. You know why? Because the matchmakers see this. Like, dude, they watch our shit, Kamaru.
For sure.
You help them sell it, they'll take you there.
Well, to be honest with you, you guys know me. Like, you know, everybody has their own style. Like, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna just smash everybody. But I want to look at it like very objectively. Like, they offered me Mobsar, so okay, I have a name now. So I look at Mobsar and I say, well, who did he fight last? He fought Aljamain Sterling, and then who was he supposed to fight? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was supposed to. I heard Brian Ortega, so I'm like, okay, well, give me a Brian Ortega or give me an Aljamain Sterling. You know, I have something to work with now. And let's just call it what it is. Like, I'm the new guy on the job. You know what I mean? I have no axe to grind with like really anybody. I've never really met any of these UFC guys. Just like, you know what I mean? So it's like to come in here and say like,
hey, I just want to fight.
Yeah, f you, you did this, you did that. It's I don't. Plus, it's not my style. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you need to, you know, shit talk more and do this, and like,
magic shows.
I wish I could, but I could say I have.
You don't want to do magic tricks like we do.
As far as wanting to beat the hell out of somebody in the cage, yeah, that excites me. That's what I want to do, you know. So back to what you were saying is like Aljamain, Ortega. Let's go if you guys are ready to fight.
Okay, to paint real quick your landscape to your roadmap. Roadmap to the title and timeline.
I will say this. I wrote down a goal, and I wrote this down maybe 9 months ago. I said I want to be a UFC champion by 2026. That's what I said. And I believe
2025. Okay.
I believe I can really do that. If they give me the fight, I go in there and do my job.
What's that roadmap? What's where we're making pit stops at? You said you right now Brian Ortega, right?
Or Aljamain Sterling or somebody like that.
Aljo, and then where's the next pit stop?
I say go straight to the title. If I'm being honest with you, I want the title. Yeah, I will go and get a good knockout. Well, why not fight for the title?
Listen, I'm not here to fucking glaze you, bro, but dude, Aaron Pico, you're a bad matchup for all of these dudes because you bring the hands and you bring the wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think...
I appreciate that, honestly, yeah.
I think the most problematic guys that I feel like that could really give you problems is maybe a Yaya Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Somebody that's going to fucking move, throw leg kicks from freaking 6 feet away to catch you. You know, guys like that. But I really don't see... Like, even Ilia Topuria, dude, I would love to see that. Because you guys are similar in styles. Different, but similar in how you guys like to go to the body, come up top. And things like that. But I think there's something that you bring that's more dangerous than all these guys, and it's called damn wrestling.
Yeah, I think so, because what I think I've gotten so good at, and I owe this a lot to Coach Gibson, is being able to blend my combinations into shots. And I think
you're doing that now. Before you weren't. Before it was you're
either
kind of
boxing or wrestling, right?
You're just here.
Yeah, but yeah, man, this is a crazy time, and for me, like. When I was younger, I would just kind of like, I was just all over the place mentally. But like now, I'm like, I've had, 18 fights. So I know what works for me. I know what doesn't. I know where I feel like I'm not my safest, or, you know, so yeah, I'm just being blunt. I am a bad matchup for a lot of people, and I'm only getting better. I mean, I have a lot more to improve on, but, a lot of tough guys to fight, and that's how you make money, you know.
And you're 28, bro. Like, think about it. Me and Kamaru started at 26, bro. We started at 26. I ain't getting to UFC at 28.
Really, yeah. I remember when you made your UFC debut.
You know,
I watched it.
You see me put it. I put it on that, dude.
It was in Arizona, correct?
It was in Arizona.
We'll talk about Kamaru.
You were wearing those Muay Thai shorts,
the
the gold ones, yeah.
But I wasn't just wrestling. You see what I'm saying? I put a clinic on that dude on the feet, dude.
Let it out.
Wow. Wow. Let's not self-glaze here. No, you did. But, Aaron, I mean, it's the stage is set. I mean, I think it's you've done some incredible things. You know, you've had a lot of success here, and something that I like to say now is every season there's a reason for every season, and every season is important. And right now, you are stepping into a new season where it's a new, not necessarily new audience, but new audience actually are getting able to witness what you can do in there. And yeah, I like the roadmap because Henry has said it several times. It is not just, like it was before where it was just on your merit. You beat the number 10 guy, you move to number 10. You beat the number 9 guy or 8 guy, you move to number 8. It's a TKO. UFC is part of an entertainment conglomerate now.
For sure.
So I go out there and I put on that performance. Boom.
Make the right call out.
Make the right call out. I might skip these guys and I might get there. So I get it. And we're all watching. But before you go, I mean, you just saw a fantastic champion. I mean, come in and basically that's what a champion essentially is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
Make the calls, go out there, deliver on the calls, looks the part, says the right things, does the right things.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden vacates the title. I mean, how do you feel? Because you said earlier, like you were looking at him and going, hey, there's holes here. How do you feel about him doing that?
I think it's good for the sport, to be honest with you. I mean, him and Islam, I mean, people really want to see that. And everybody has their own style. And it seems like his style is just, going, doing what he did. And I think, honestly, I believe Islam is just a little too much for him. But I'm also a fan, so I would have loved to see that. But yeah, we've had a lot of good champions, in 145 and what you guys have done. And so we'll have to see. But before I leave, I want to just ask you guys, I respect you guys so much and you were a great champion, you as well. And I don't know if you guys have any advice or, in this.
I fucking love this, dude. Look at this.
No, honestly,
Going to start it, Kush?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a little bit of what he touched up on, you could skip the line, and you have to know the little bit of that entertainment aspect of it, making the right call outs. Like there's not too many people could beat GSPs on the side of you skipping the line and getting what you want. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So it has nothing with you like being humble, because you are a humble dude. You know what I'm saying? You're super respectful, but know when to turn it on.
Absolutely,
and be okay with that. So I think one is the entertainment aspect of it. That's going to allow you to skip the line. Two is just tactically, man, staying, mixing your fighting, like really mixing it and really game planning according to what's going on in the fight. So for a lot of times, you in the beginning, you would get stubborn, like, fuck it, I'm going toe-to-toe.
For sure,
like when you went toe-to-toe with Corrales, I'm like, whoa, like, he doesn't have your hands, but if with those small gloves, shit does change. You know what I'm saying? So I think a little bit of being more of a competitor than an actual fighter, like bringing that tactical, strategic side to it.
Yeah.
And then 3, man, dude, just keep having fun, man. Like have fun with the game. Go out and learn from different people, man. Like I would love for you to come down. We've talked about it. Actually, you reached out, and I'm not here to recruit you or anything like that. It's like the same thing I told John. I asked John about it. I'm just here to freaking. I'm the guy that shines you're already a Ferrari. I just detail it. I just shine it up, and just finding great minds that have been there before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Calling, like, you could always call me, bro. Like, now that you have my number, call me anytime. Anytime you want to talk or whatever. Like for me, like we always, when we got big decisions to make, there's a couple people that I call. Sometimes I'll call DC, Olympic teammates. Like we've been there before. He's older than me. At times it was for like if I'm about to pull like a dramatic stunt, I'll call Uncle Chell. I was like, Chell, am I going too far? He was like, nah, just don't push it. Don't, you know what I'm saying? So find those mentors that you really respect and love. They're going to be honest with you, and that's it, Aaron. I think 2026. I do believe you're going to become UFC champ, dude. I truly do.
That's the goal. That's the goal, and the work is I got to put in a lot of work. So, but
for me, I'm just going to say. it took time for me to understand what this was. You know, this is not just wrestling. Wrestling we do for free. And it's the hardest thing in the world. And doing that over and over and over for free. Now, when you're doing something like this, like a sport, and money's tied into it, you know, things change a bit. Of course, we still would like to hold it to that standard that we held wrestling, because wrestling is literally for the glory of it. You go and win your Regan and come home and no one cares. And that's the toughest tournament out there. Or you go be Olympic champion and yes, you celebrate, you're on TV, maybe you get an ad here and there for like 2 months, 3 months. No one cares. No one knows. Unless you're a runner. You say,
nah, yeah. I don't know about all that, cuz. Don't do me like that, dude.
You won the Olympics? Dang, I forgot. but what I'm getting at is, when you're in a situation in a sport like this, there's money tied into it. A lot of things change. As far as the UFC, they got to make money. You now have to make money, because now you have to think about yourself. You have to think about your family, think about your child,
your horses.
All of these things, your horses, everything, you know. And so when all of those things are involved, it's not just about competing, me being the best anymore. When I got in, it was, I just want to dominate. I want to be the best, because that was the mentality I had in wrestling. I'm dominating these dudes, which I still do. But I didn't care so much about the entertainment aspect of it. Now I'm in front of a camera. When people watch what's behind the camera, they want to be entertained. And so I didn't think about that at first. I think my first maybe 4 or 5 fights, each fight I had at least one 10-8 round, maybe a 10-7 round in one of these fights. Like, that's what I was just there for that. But the fights weren't that exciting. And then I remember I started watching it with a different eye, where I would watch the fight and I would go, fast forward past the part of me taking him down, dominating him for 3-5 minutes each round, to just for 30 seconds that I was standing up. I was like, oh, I need to entertain these people, because I got to entertain my damn self. If I'm not even entertaining my damn self, I'm doing something wrong here. So like Henry said, is understanding that yes, I still going to put in the work, and I'm still going to, you know, I want to be the best. That's still my aspiration to get there. But there's a component behind it as well that makes them back the truck up. And when they back the truck up, essentially for you, that's validation and letting you know that all these hard work that I put in, all these time that I spent away doing all the selfishness that I had to put in, it's valued. You know, it's never going to be enough. They're never going to back it up enough. Yeah. But at least it lets you know that, hey, it's valued. And so you make the company money, that makes you money. And so I would say for me is just understanding that it's not just to come here and compete. Yeah, you want to come here and compete, but you want to do it in a fashion to where you make them back the truck up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that would be my advice.
No, I appreciate that advice. Honestly, like, I have you guys' number, and I definitely will reach out to you, because I don't have it all figured out. You guys have been champions. You guys have defended your belts. And that's one thing that I really want to do, is like, I just don't want to be a champion for one time. I want to defend my belt. And that's what everybody remembers. So I really appreciate the advice, and probably be texting guys, calling you. And
for sure, bro. And you should. It's like, and you should, man. Because Kobe was like that with Jordan. And, you know, we had a chance to meet Shaq, and Magic was like that for Shaq. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, man. You just have to, man. It's a cheat code, because we've been there before you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you don't want to be in this game for too long, dude. Enjoy your...
I want to be on my ranch riding horses.
Exactly,
that's a big
bro.
goal.
Exactly, because you know what?
So.
You could lose a fucking eye like me, or something could happen.
All right. Jesus. You lost an eye? Damn. I didn't know that.
But it changes, especially now that you have a kid or whatever, dude. It just changes the game, dude.
For sure.
I get it. Aaron, you know, you have an amazing head on your shoulders, and also I want you to understand that, like, yeah, you're saying you have a team, you have a great team. You know, it might not seem like a ton of people, but you have a great team to where your resources are vast based on your team. You know, and you know, great coaches, great managers. Shout out to Ali Abdullah Aziz.
That's a great human,
Shout out to
bro.
Ali
That's-
Aziz, to where you have all these resources, you know, and it's as weird enough as it is. Yeah, some of the guys might fight each other because there's just so many guys that are with that management company might fight each other, but it's weird. You have this sense of belonging, like I have this sense of team, whatever bonding that is a dominance. Oh, I'm Ali's guy. It's like, okay, I can go talk to the other Ali guy. You know?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know, you have a team and lean on that, man. But you have a great head on your shoulders, my man. We can't wait to see what happens in the UFC. I mean, I got my popcorn ready because now, you know, yeah, I've been fighting for a while, I've been champion, but I like to watch some of this good stuff.
Yeah,
now,
not just that, Kamaru, but he's representing wrestling.
Of course.
You're representing.
And you are one of those new waves.
That culture, dude. You know what I'm saying? So we always got to cheer for each other.
You are one of that new wave of representing American wrestling. You know, we unfortunately we've been put on the back burner. You know, getting taken down like we did, getting carried out of burning buildings. But man, it's great to talk to you, great to know you, and just let the people know a little bit about you and what to expect coming up with you, my man.
Yeah, well, I'm really want the UFC to book a fight, which they are, and I think if people go back and look at all my fights through the wins and through the losses, they've all been exciting. So I've made a promise, you know, to myself to do whatever I can to become a UFC champion, and I also want to make a promise to the UFC fans because, like, without them, I mean, we wouldn't have what we have, and I want to put on the most exciting fights as I possibly can, really, I mean, because I'm capable of doing it. But it's a big step in my career, but I'm ready for it. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
My man, well, it was a pleasure. And as always, everyone, I am the Nigerian Nightmare, Kamaru Usman.
Henry Cejudo, a.k.a. Triple C.
And we are out.